welcome everybody to a really special event. This is a live IRGAME Live, and man, today's going to be a blast because I know about every criminal on the screen here and love them all to death. So this is going to be great. This is the team of FifthWall Solutions, and if you're not aware of what they do, then first of all, go look them up. But secondly, my name's Bob Miller. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Global Data Systems, which is an MSSP in Louisiana, Lafayette. And I met Will and the FifthWall team over a year and a half ago or so. And the reason I met them is that our particular MSP needed assistance with being able to advise our customers about cyber insurance. And that's exactly what they do. But I'm going to let Will have a few minutes on the table to tell you a little bit more about FifthWall and then to quickly introduce the team. So go ahead, Will.
Yeah, man. Bob, thanks for having us on here. For those of you who don't know us, FifthWall Solutions is a cyber insurance only. I put only in there. Wholesaler, expert, broker, whatever you want to call us. Our whole mission is to work alongside cybersecurity professionals to make cyber insurance more accessible to their clients and easier to navigate for both their clients and for the MSP who's helping to manage that client's security. I'm joined by the entire MSP team. So if you've been on anything that involved the entire MSP team a month ago, there were only 3 of us, maybe 2 months ago. We've doubled in size. So I was like, what better an opportunity than to bring on literally everybody. So you get the newbies and you get the veterans all in one clean, used lightly IRGAME, because I don't know how a bunch of cyber insurance professionals are going to do an incident response, but hopefully pretty well, because considering cyber insurance is a major component of that. So do you want to go by name here? Do you want them to introduce themselves, Bob?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Yeah. Travis, why don't you go first? You're go first, man.
Absolutely. So I'm Travis Kroger, located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Not a lot going on around here, but there is some cyber and some security, as Josh would know. I was introduced to FifthWall and the whole team a couple of years ago when I was working for a small local agency. I have about 6 years in the cyber insurance realm being a specialist, and man, these guys are doing it right. I'll tell you what, I'm jacked to be a part of this team.
Very good. Oscar, why don't you go, man?
Howdy, everybody. I'm from Austin, Texas. Oscar from Austin. Been in the insurance field for about 10 years and moved over FifthWall the last couple months. So really enjoying the team. Like Travis said, we got a lot of smart people, a lot of driven people. And we all have our heads and vision to go down the same path to meet our goals. So that's what I'm excited about. And thanks for having us here today, Bob.
Yeah, 100%. Josh, I know you're not FifthWall. Why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Hey, guys, I'm Josh, information security lead with an MSP based out of San Diego, Centrix IT. But I've known the FifthWall guys for about a year and a half. Travis a little bit longer. So I'm glad that Travis is now part of the FifthWall team. These guys are fantastic to work with. I'm pretty passionate about all things cyber, which does include cyber insurance. So I love working with these guys, and I'm glad we could get them on the show.
All right, man. All right, Wilson, you're up.
What's up, everyone? I'm Wilson Henry. Been with FifthWall for 3.5 years now. Excited to see the growth and excited to all get together. I'm based here in Pittsburgh, where our headquarters are at FifthWall. So thanks for having us, Bob, and I hope we have a great time today.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Andy, you go, brother.
Yes, sir. Andy Runyon, based out of the budding metropolis of Paragould, Arkansas, in very northeast Arkansas. I'm our partner risk advisor, but I refer to myself often as FifthWall's first redneck. I was the first hire south of the Mason-Dixon line, and spend a lot of time talking with our MSP partners about their risk and how it relates to their clients from an E&O standpoint. And when I say, Bob, I'm excited and I'm ready to go today, that's go with an E-A-U-X.
That's right, brother. Absolutely. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Jaron, and as it says in my title, I am cooler than Travis. So no matter what happens today, know that is a true fact. I'm so
even when
really recently. Will has hung out with me all week, so he knows this for a fact. No, I'm just kidding. But Really great to be here at Fifth Wall. I don't have very much background in IT or insurance, but I have a background in education, and I love to learn things. Pretty much a big nerd here myself too, so it fits in with the team culture here, and ready to be a part of it. And never been a part of an IR game before, so really excited for that.
You about to find out. That's what I'll tell you.
Jaron, fun fact, Jaron is actually our resident Italian. His name is Jerome Snovelli, actually.
Oh, there you
Jerome
go, man.
Snovelli.
It's a better
0%
recipes.
Italian, that guy.
Yeah. All right, Matt. I'm dropping Matt in the middle of this, so you guys could be sneak attack. Mr. Matt Lee, please, sir, take the stage.
Yes, so I'm Matt Lee. Oh, sorry. I left that on from an earlier setting.
It seems. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. No, it is. Yeah, so Matt Lee, I'm here to jump in and out, I think, with Josh, potentially Hobind.
Yeah, you're going to be swapping in and out with
The
Hobind.
platform, but my job here today is to try to create as much stress for y'all as I can to help emulate where we're going to be going. I also have a suspicion that the insurance teams will probably be much better as it goes because you're probably used to this stress. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So I think y'all are going to get it. I think you'll really like that I advise never call your insurance company, never ever. Oh, no, I'm totally kidding. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Smart. Good strategy.
I digress. All right, cool. I'm excited, y'all. Thanks for having me here. For those that don't know, I'm a recovering MSP. Bob built this game off of a story that Ethan and I built for a tabletop exercise 3 or 4 years ago. And it's an attempted and somewhat hyperbolized retelling of an experience that I went through and that our organization went through for a company we acquired called Voldemort, which was a very small managed service provider, about $1 million in revenue that we acquired that ended up being an insurance claim for us of about $1.28 million and about $280,000 of that paid. So short story is this is helping you walk through what the worst day could be. Anyways, so thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man. He's going to, and by the way, he's going to, you'll see. Matt makes this all go. So this will be great. He's the Energizer Bunny of the bunch. So this will be fun. And like Matt's talking about, this is basically an incident response exercise. And in our game, people have actual roles, right? So the thing you're going to notice right away when the game starts, you won't really notice it until we get to what we call the resource allocation phase, which is day 3. But when you do, you're going to have a role, that's in the top of your browser. You'll have a role. We'll bring the screen up here in just a second. You'll have a role up in the top area that you'll notice. And I've already chosen. So, Will, you're going to be the tech lead. I don't mind telling you, it is the most pressure-filled, tense role in the organization, which I couldn't imagine a better person to hold down that end of the P row. So that's going to be awesome.
Will's got
and
this.
Then Andy knows how to hit a curveball. So Andy's going to be the support lead, and he'll be dealing with resource allocation of support personnel. So
that may have been the end of my career, Bob. You
so having all that, Mr. Bain, you can start the game when you're ready. And by the way, this thing has got timers on it, and it is utterly relentless. So it doesn't stop.
And we're playing the short version of the game. It's
brutal. We're playing the short version. So
what if I can't read that fast?
We got you, bro. I'll read it out for you. I promise.
Can we get some extended time for the Southerners, please? I mean, come on. Everybody knows we're slower than the rest of the country.
I was born below the Mason-Dixon line, so that is not an excuse, my man.
Guys, we have already wasted 30 seconds.
Go! Yeah, Josh, can you start the game for us?
See if it started on my screen.
I got
it. Was it running? Oh, okay, that's cool. Go ahead. Yeah, it is. All right, fair enough. Go right ahead. All right, Matt, take him through it, the first part here.
Okay. So I'm waiting for the screen to update. There we go. So our dispatcher receives a call, just as a normal day as an MSP, that a single application isn't working at a company called Innovative Financial. It's a small investment firm. Innovative Financial initially says, hey, this stuff's not acting right. Like, I can't access that application that's running on a server. So the dispatcher gets a technician ready to look at it. Client calls back, though, to say, hey, our desktops have this, weird thing popping up in a text box, and it says something about Bitcoin. As your technician jumps on the server, they're presented with what's clearly a ransomware demand and notifies their service manager, right? They followed that process. In this case, as a group, y'all have published SLAs. You're part of a peer group. How did they get this role, y'all?
Oh, no, this is a killer role, actually.
Yeah. Enforced overtime, yes. Policy on technician wellness, no, that might be a problem. Well-documented procedures, no, that could be a problem. Documented incident response plan, somehow y'all talked to Will Brooks. They convinced you to do it as part of being an awesome steward with your insurance dollars.
Yeah.
So what are y'all going to do? Like, we're at this point now where you've gotten a call. What do you do for that client, y'all? What's one of the first things, technical and non-technical, we want to do?
Yeah, this is all the information you're given so far. So if you were sitting in that seat, what would you do? What would you think about doing?
Don't jump at once, y'all.
I would figure out if it's impacting their daily business.
Yeah,
Like,
sure, it is.
okay.
I'll be the game
It
master.
is.
They're
It
completely
is.
down.
Yep.
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 Okay. Do they have insurance?
Whip out that IR plan.
Ooh,
Yep.
I love that somebody, two things. One, do
Yeah.
they have insurance? Fantastic question, because it's going to dictate a lot of the next steps and how you're going to move forward and what capabilities you're going to have and the things that you're going to need to do. And then the second piece is, Andy, whip out that IR plan, because hopefully you're trying to do things like containment and limiting the damage and limiting the blast radius while not destroying volatile memory. So how would you do that? Anybody want to answer technically what you'd kind of want to do first, at least to try to limit blast radius, but also not necessarily compromise volatile things?
I mean, I'm hoping they have a some sort of EDR tool put in
Yeah.
place, and hopefully
call.
it's managed, and hopefully it's already shut down. But if it's not, we should probably shut those down.
Oh, girl. You know I'm
Unplug
in
the
love.
internet.
Yeah, that's another great answer. Who said that? Travis?
Yeah.
No, genuinely,
Yeah.
like, at least if you can contain the escapement. And what I'm really looking for here, y'all, is let's not destroy volatile memory that might be very valuable in
Clear.
proving, was this a breach or not a breach, right? And that may be what hangs you or doesn't hang you long term, is you need the forensics data. So do not, first off, do anything to destroy that volatile data. That's what I wanted to come out of that conversation. Everybody in agreement, at least?
Yeah, that's what insurance tells us, right, guys?
Amen.
Do
Let's
the
not
bare
restart
minimum,
the-
but contain, right? And
Isolate, contain. That's what we want to do.
100%. Awesome. Why is it important for you to have an IR plan? Why does this matter? What does it help do in this chaotic moment?
Matt, one of the things we talk all the time with the folks about is that, unfortunately, at this moment right now, insurance puts more of a value on the control side, right?
Yep.
MFA, EDR,
Yep.
like you get more of a premium break from that stuff. But we spend a ton of time talking about why IR plans, even though they're not valued in that regard, are just as critical, right? Boom, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
from a coaching standpoint, it's practice, it's game planning, it's scouting, reporting, things like that. It's the front end work that you do to make sure that when the proverbial, you know what, hits the fan, that's your slow heartbeat and you have a plan moving forward.
And the slow heartbeat, let me lean in on that for just a sec, because what you're really saying is, hey, it's your calm on a piece of paper, right? Because you're going to be under chaos, right? For this one client, it's the chaos of that client. They're suffering right now, and it sucks, and they're down. But your operation is largely unimpacted, right? In this scenario, as we sit, that client's down, but we need to have a plan. And I think the best question Travis asked earliest, and most MSPs don't know this, is, do you have insurance?
Right.
Like, I'm gonna say it. Most don't know that answer, and so if you don't take anything else away, if you're listening or watching this right now, it would definitely be know whether or not your clients have insurance, so that you can know whether you're going to be hiring some third party or whether they're going to have an insurance that's going to do a lot of these things. All right, so it escalates, y'all. As we're sitting here talking about this in this room, eating our donuts, relaxing, thinking about the victim that we're talking about. We're now getting calls from multiple clients. It's only been just a few minutes, and yet we're getting similar issues. Everyone's calling in. My stuff's down. I pay you for uptime. Where's my backup? Hey, I need to get someone out here. We're having this weird thing. I don't understand. Do I need to go to the ATM for that Bitcoin? Hey, multiple people reach out, and they're calling you every way they know how. They've called you on your cell phone because you know what? One time when you dropped off that firewall and had somebody met you on a Saturday at the shop, you gave them your cell, and so they're calling it. They're calling every technician. They're texting everybody they can. They're sending in messages on your thing. They're putting things on Facebook. You're starting to see this. They're even showing up at your house. They even know where they went and met you for a barbecue 2 years ago and in Texas, showed up where you live to say, hey, I'm not getting response. What's going on? Why are we down? Nobody's taking our calls at this stage. You're starting to see everyone calling in. So the question is, how do you start to think about dealing with this, right? You're now at this level of just massive request and nothing necessarily to say. What do we do, y'all?
First thing I would do is dedicate somebody to answer these calls and get a timeline, get a rolling list of what the actual damages are. If we have insurance, legal's already going to be calling. So,
Wilson?
I got one on the
Travis, you get
client
MAT
end.
points for that, by the way, just so you know. You're like collecting all these MAT points. They can't be spent on you.
Yeah, MAT points don't matter,
Wilson?
but it's still awesome.
I think we
Yeah.
focus on the industries and clients and split them
Okay.
up into who we need to act first, who's going to be the most impacted.
You
Probably,
get to play that game, Wilson,
yeah,
in just a minute.
healthcare.
You're not
Oh,
wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Whoops.
I have question.
Johnny foreshadowing. Sorry, go ahead, Travis.
Based on this,
Go
based
ahead.
on this scenario, it doesn't sound like we've practiced the incident response plan, but I'm curious to know if we have, because it's if with everyone freaking out, if we do have insurance, which again I don't know if we do, then
You actually had a date set for 9/20/24 to practice your incident response plan.
this is
and it's just
unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
I mean-
Unfortunate.
all right. So
we're doing
No,
it.
and listen, we got to start documenting right now too, right? Like
yeah. Where do you do that,
everything
Andy?
down.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. That's,
All
I mean,
right,
but
and-
Dedicated person.
yeah, I mean, you
Jared,
assign a
you're in
person,
charge.
and whether it's on, there you go, rookie, you got it.
And
But I
so-
mean, whether it's on Excel or whatever,
Yeah.
Whatever you
Since
do
you brought
offline
it up
because you don't have
early.
access. Yeah.
Since you brought it up early, Andy, I'm going to actually tackle this because I'm going to give you some MAT points on this one. There may be a value in having an out-of-band place to document your incident when it happens so that everything is not immediately discoverable, one might argue. And threat actors like to read your stuff. They're there listening. There's been many incidents where the threat actors were reading the incident response and taking actions accordingly. In order to reduce costs, it might be valuable to have another place to do the work. All right, leadership. What are we going to do next? And by the way, you'll notice a pattern of me cutting y'all off, moving forward. I'm doing it to make you more stressed. So I'm also calling my shots as doing it. So I apologize. All right, leadership, what do you do next? We now have everybody calling in. Will, you already kind of called out. Maybe we failed a little bit. Travis, you've nailed one person to be comms. That's going to play out for you and their benefit in the long term. We've got Andy and Jaron talking about documentation and managing. So what are we going to deal with now? And what are those next steps? Somebody's talked about it earlier.
So I think our insurance, if we have it, should be ready to go right now. They should, our legal team should be here.
And
they
our
should be
legal
advising us on the communications that we can and can't say, because we want to be transparent yet not give away the bag. Internally, I mean, figuring out, okay, which of our clients have immediate needs, healthcare, technical, financial. Think about the COVID, the people that stayed open, right?
Yep.
Who do we have on our books with that? Who do we need to put immediate triage towards?
100%.
Yeah, there's a couple things, because I knew this guy once who worked for an insurance program. I think it was Will Brooks at FifthWall who told me this.
Smart.
But the one thing he told me, one thing that stuck in my head when he told me, says, hey, you know what? You guys need to consider not saving your insurance policy on your actual network. You need to actually put it somewhere else, because if they find that thing and figure out what you're underwriting,
I know what your limits are.
they're going to take you to the barn, right?
Limits,
Yeah,
minus
so
numbers to be prudent.
So just one piece of information, that this guy named Will Brooks, who was really on his game that day, gave me
it wasn't playing.
Yeah, not to be
like once a
confused with
year.
Will Brooks here, but I mean, there's that other guy was cool.
A lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Well, and it may seem basic, but I mean, sometimes people wait to file claims for some reason. Like, go ahead when as soon as your waiting period's over, file the claim and let insurance start doing the stuff that insurance is supposed to do. That call center that they set up, the incident response stuff.
Yep.
Let them get working on how to get out into the media.
5
They
calls
have
with
folks
attorneys
that
a week. Yep.
Yes.
All of that.
I mean, like, let make a claim as soon as you can make a claim, and let insurance start doing what you pay it to do.
And that's a good call out, because sometimes I'm sorry, Bob, I'll let you go real quick.
Yeah.
So sometimes not actually notifying can be cause for denial down the road. If you then find that you have some business damage, there's some damage of not doing that. So as an MSP, your best answer is at least tell them to go start and notify their insurance. They may not end up having a claim, but at least they've notified, and they've started down that path of saying, we think we're onto something that's big, we think it's material. Right, Andy, would you agree with that statement?
100%. Yeah, we talk all the time about the difference between notification and filing a claim. Go ahead, Will.
Before time's up here too, from a technical perspective, I want to let them know I cannot start restoring from backups yet. As much as they probably want that to happen.
Okay, Will gets MAT points. Damn. All right, well, exactly right. To that point, you're in the detect phase. You don't know what the hell's going on. Why would you restore from backup? What if it's something that you're going to restore to? And I've seen many a case where somebody restored back, Me personally have seen where our threat actor came back and treated us 3 times like a piggy bank. In our case, it was the 3rd time they had ransomed every customer. You let that sink in and see how much they wanted to kill me. Right? And so you realize that this is what we're at. At this point, you've realized that through Occam's razor, or this basically simplest answer is the most correct statement, that it's probably something you own. You're the central point. You're the central point of delivery. It's probably something you own. That's why every client's experiencing it. You're not able to respond to the clients or branches, basically to Will's point, because you don't know. You don't know the root cause. You don't know where it came in. You have no decision. What are you going to just start saying, let's just start fixing things? You don't know, and I've seen that happen. The situation is not contained at this point. We do have cyber insurance, thank God, and carrier, counsel, forensics, negotiation teams have all been assigned. I have my company that's going to be doing the insurance. I have the legal stood up for that breach counsel. I have the actual forensics aspect playing out, right? I have all of my pieces. I have negotiation. If I have to pay a ransomware, they're going to figure some things out for us. We've been instructed by forensics that your RMM was the hosted culprit. They found out somehow by one day, which I don't know about y'all's experience, but in one day, they've now told us that forensically this was your RMM. That's not going to happen, just for y'all know it. Okay, so your admin users are flooded with comms. To your point, Travis, you're trying to get some single point of contact, but even then, 1,000 requests in a single point of contact still doesn't make communication. You've been instructed that you can move forward potentially, that there's a reason that, I'm sorry, your customers are demanding why nothing's begun happening. They're starting to shift from this rhetoric of please help to what the hell, right? You're starting to see, hey, you told me that your backup was good in just 4 hours that you could come back. You told me that you could have me back. You put me on a system, and yet you can't restore because you can't destroy what was there, and you need that memory. You need to collect it in the way that the forensics team is okay with, right? Your trouble ticketing system is offline. Guess what? Your PSA is down because you used the same tools on you as you used on them to make your life easy, and it's down. Right? Legal counsel says you can't restore machines yet until we get a date and time that was basically first access. When did the threat actor get in and put in footholds? When did the threat actor gain access to this? Right? And you've had your first conversation with your ransomware negotiation team, who's ready to discuss with the threat actor and engage and check for certain things that we'll talk about should the need arise. So, all right. You as an MSP, right? And somebody asked this, I just like tackling it. Somebody said, are we supposed to be insurance or MSP? You're an MSP in this case, y'all. You just happen to have the unfortunate knowledge of being an insurance company. So
no,
sorry, it sucks to be you.
That's perfect though. So the first thing I would say, if my RMM tool was breached, I'm calling up a
compromised, because we don't say the word breach. Will, that's -1 Matt point.
Even though it's called
noob
game, it's called the breach game, but you know. Just calling it what it is.
It's a freebie. It's a freebie. Yeah, touche.
We're calling up the. I'm hoping we have a techie and O policy, not just a cyber policy.
There you go.
Our RMM is getting compromised.
Yep.
We're gonna want to start notifying them on that end too, because
100%. Because now you can have a battle of who's paying, who's owning it, all that point, right? Well, so okay. You're now in the contain phase, and sorry to keep the pace going, that's for the stress. Forensics has determined that threat actors deployed ransomware with your remote management tool. Travis, you got your hand up, so I'll let you break me off, but you'll be the first person to ever cut me off during this part of the phase.
Go for it.
That's what I do. So did we have good procedures in place to make sure we had copies of all of our clients' insurance policies?
It's docked up there. It says well-documented.
If you see it right here at the top,
great idea, right, Travis?
I'm looking for their policies, their insurance policies, not procedures.
You do not have their policies either at this point. Everything is contained in your documentation system, as many MSPs do, and those were compromised. You can contain the threat, though. They've basically said that we've come back. It is your RMM. There was no access prior to detonation, and I'll go from memory what they've done. But essentially, they've basically gotten to a point where they said, hey, they don't have a foothold, but every machine is compromised, or they have something where the machines have to be compromised. Think back to Emotet, for example, Travis, where we have to wipe and reload every machine. So we're at that stage in the way we're playing this from a role-playing game perspective. Also, additionally, the first server you tried to restore actually failed, and let's hope that's not a pattern. Back to your point, Travis, they didn't have great documented procedures, but even then, with whether or not they have insurance, a lot of that's stored in the PSA, and the PSA is down. And this is actually my scenario, and Will, back to your point earlier, ours was determined not a breach. And the only reason was it was before they started doing double extortion back in 2019, which meant that the access wasn't itself a breach. It was only this. Now, to your point, I will give you extra Matt points back. You would be right. It's probably going to be, because they will have done double extortion as some portion of that first. Okay, so we're at the point where we've been waiting for. We can move forward. We're going to wipe and reload every machine. We have every single machine represented, and that we need to go and just get them back to normal. Servers first, and then workstations, because you can't restore workstations till you have a functional Active Directory environment or environment. And if you're out there and say Entra ID, I can talk for 10 hours about it. You're right. Yeah, but the point being, let's go. Bob.
Yeah, so at the top you're going to see your roles. So you're really the only player that can do something at this moment. So you can deploy these tech resources. These tech resources can restore 8 servers or 4 workstations in one day, and you cannot start fixing workstations until you get all the servers up. So if you look over here, and my grid doesn't have the pluses and minuses, but yours should. You can click the plus by one of those pawns, and it will allocate a tech resource there. And you can only in the first round put 1 tech per site. So if I were you, I would go down that line and start clicking the plus sign for each one of those rows. And remember, this area can scroll. So just be aware that this area scrolls.
And what we're simulating is you have a printout for the game. Just so y'all know, you have a printout of all your clients. That's this. It's an Excel sheet that you printed out at one point, to Travis's point of like kind of having some stuff prepared, right? You also had financial sheet. So somebody owns the financials. That's in one of your roles where you can see how much money they have. Someone else can also see the other elements of like which clients have resources, right? Some can assign resources. And so kind of part of this game is figuring that out. I will say you've also got an awesome role. You've gotten an actual technical resource as well as a pretty decent role, so you might do pretty well.
Keep assigning them. You only got a minute and 30 left. So, and by the way, Wilson, you're the CFO, so your view is going to have non-recurring and recurring revenue from there.
Yes, it does.
So you're gonna be one of the people that's helped giving guidance to
the
tech and
Let's see, national healthcare all the way down at the bottom.
I'm dumping them into healthcare.
Okay, good.
How many more do I have left? Does it say?
Oh, yes, at the top. You can see it, right? You can see how many.
We guys got an inject that says, because of the initial restore failure at Pioneer Clinic, you must leave a technician there to try to keep restoring. So we had a backup failure that didn't come back up now. So
that automatically got assigned. So you're dealing with a total of 11 techs. So I still see 4.
4 more. Are you 49 seconds.
Yep, I'm allocating. Just looking at a couple of
You'll be one of the first teams that hasn't wasted a tech on the first roll. Let's go.
Universal Health has got 6 down. They look like a good one.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Now, Andy, you're going to be on deck because once he gets all the servers back up.
Future Transport's got 8 down. Listening. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I don't see Universal Health, but
all the way to the bottom. Scroll all the way to the bottom.
Healthcare, 250 sites, 6 down, and then
23, 22, 20 seconds to get those 2 allocated.
20 seconds.
Future Transport's trucking with 15 sites, 8 down. That would be a good one too.
Got it.
Don't
okay,
leave
we're good.
Anybody on the table?
Okay. There you go.
There
good job.
Cool.
I always wait till the last second.
That's a win right there.
Andy, you're on deck. Once those servers are restored at a location, you can start using your admins, the rooks, the same way. You can assign those rook characters, and it'll do
we had a
2
backup
workstations
and restore failure. How would we move forward? What's the next thing after a server doesn't restore the first time? Who's technical in the room?
Try it again.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Maybe a different way, different configuration, different method.
Do I have multiple backups?
Yeah, Will, you do. So you might have a different one. You go back a unit, right? And you're going to try that. So those are the things that would happen. And hopefully that's in a process, right? Hopefully you already have a pretty documented, continuity plan that says if this, then that type methodologies that you can lean upon and execute in this moment of stress. But one of the things that I want to tackle in this 2 minutes we have is, when do you talk to the client about that? Now imagine you're this MSP in our role-playing game who has every client down, angry, yelling. They're only on day 3, but they're already being impacted. And now you have a backup failure, and you know that it's failed. What would you do?
Just keep trying.
Yeah, before telling them potentially.
Well, no,
right,
I think
Travis?
you have to have a conversation. I mean,
when?
When the lawyer tells you to.
I give you extra point for that one.
I've been through too many of these things, man. It's like you don't do anything without that lawyer saying, yes, this is the road 100%. We're going to go down. And if you go down any other one, we're not going to pay for it.
100%. And that actually adds to the time, y'all, because you got to get back on that billable call with attorney number 7 and 14 people that need to be there. That's right. My man's lived it. And with attorney number 7 to say, hey, can I tell them about this failure? Well, have you tried anything else? I think I have an opinion at $500 an hour, and I do too. And that takes a while, and it adds to the time. So I just want you to understand, you might not be able to just do it. But if you were left to your own devices, there are strategies and negatives of speaking or not speaking, right? If you add to that stress by saying we don't have this data, you might add to their litigiousness to some extent as well in the response. But if you don't tell them, you didn't set expectations and you haven't made them aware and you didn't read them in. And so I like Travis's answer the best so far I've ever done this of you do have the ability to put it back on the attorney.
Look at you, Travis.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, legit. Anybody else got something to add to this? Well, we got 40 seconds.
Well, one of those questions is, what's the worst backup disaster
Go.
story you have? I mean, I experienced a claim where the client had backups that were, first of all, not immutable. So they literally were just like, I'm going to copy my entire folder library and move it over into Google Drive or something like that, because that's a cloud backup, right?
That checks out.
And it's the kind of thing where, well, that's all still accessible from your computer and can easily be manipulated. So when an incident happened, they got mad at their MSP because they're like, you said we had backups. And the MSP was like, well, you wouldn't, or we had a backup, but you can't restore from it. And it's like, well, you never let us do backups. You just said you were doing them yourself.
Right.
And that was, I mean,
which
that
is
was
a great
painful.
call out.
Just like,
and
what
then,
the heck are we doing?
As you're about to see here, which, by the way, your server restore failed again, Travis, not to kick you in the
Travis.
But you have to leave another technician there. And the other piece would be, how do you prioritize? Do you get benefit out of doing healthcare first, or is there revenue that matters more? What gets prioritized? So I'll let y'all just tackle it live as you do this round.
Well, city administration's got 5 down. Just FYI.
Okay, so again, Andy, you're the one with the admin guys, and if you see a line that has down 0 on the server side, that means you can start working on workstations. So you can assign one or more of your resources to a line.
Okay, which one is the one that I can send out?
It's the rook. You should see the castle. You should have a plus or a minus
castle.
by the castle over here on the right.
No, I don't.
I'm sitting here as the CEO putting my feet up on my desk because I can't freaking play.
I have all of
Joining you,
them.
Travis. Just looking at some numbers.
I don't have the ability to deploy rooks yet. I've got.
This is giving me the ability
Anyone
to
need some
deploy
MRR numbers?
So, Andy, look on this line, dynamic shipping down there where it has 0. You don't have pluses and minuses over here, right? If you don't, just reload your browser page real quick.
I have the ability to give everything.
Should
that be the case?
I don't have.
Screw this. I'm gonna go get a
Oh
soda.
wait, there we go. Down here at the bottom. Hold on, I've got it.
I was about to say. Yeah. So dynamic shipping, you could assign some of your rooks there to start working the workstations.
Yeah, I did municipal services.
Yeah. Anywhere there's zero servers down, you can go.
And just to explain why that is, if you don't have your environment up that you're going to be joining, you can't start deploying machines and getting them joined to that domain, getting them tied into those applications. They're
Andy, what do I pay you for?
First.
He's got a whole minute left. He's gonna make it.
To be fair, Andy wasn't the tech guy. He had to reload his page, but he didn't know that.
Yeah,
that was my job.
Checks out.
Sysadmins all over the world. Just put Will Brooks' name down on the list.
It will. Or Andy, don't forget dynamic shipping. Dynamic shipping, Andy.
I'm looking for them.
It's on the. It's like
Control F, baby. Down. Control F.
6 down.
Got dynamic shipping, and then I've got one more. Any input from the team?
You can put both of those there if you want. Just hit the plus again.
Put it at national healthcare. We have 196.
I've already got one there.
Put another one there.
Can you double
put 2 of them there.
You can do multiple people on workstations.
Okay, got it.
Just not
Perfect.
servers.
Okay, yeah, we're fully deployed then.
Okay, that's
nice.
Good.
Very
It'll
good,
catch up on my screen in a second. So, Will, the other thing you need to know is once the servers are up, you can also stack your people multiple techs, and they can do 8 workstations.
Okay.
No, 4 workstations. They do 8 servers, but they can do 4.
I did not realize that.
Yeah,
that's why I have the ability to place in different places. I got it.
That's correct. Yep. Roger that.
It's good to know
the
rules before
we're
we start.
about to move on to the next injection. So we have medical clients, and we actually know that their servers contain data and must manage HIPAA. Who and how do we notify if we think we have a HIPAA exposure? If there's potential, especially if we're living in a double extortion world like we are now. And I think the attorney answers definitely stands, Travis, so I'll go ahead and say that one's already done. But let's just assume we're playing that role of trying to figure this out. Where does that usually land? Who owns that responsibility?
Yeah, it's going to be good. I can't wait to hear what you guys say.
They need to talk to their insurance company. And I want to have our attorneys talk to their attorneys.
Then by that definition, you're kind of saying it's owned by that company that had the health information system? Is that essentially the argument? Yeah.
We have a rock solid MSA that says.
Do they have a CISO or? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Travis, because that was good.
I just said we have a rock solid MSA that says that it's still their data, just like every other vendor in the world.
Yeah, and hopefully you have some other things in there, like a BAA, right? To that extension. Will, continue.
does this business have a CISO, or are we offering vCISO services? I'm just wondering from the compliance standpoint here. Like, did we market
for
ourselves?
most MSPs, especially for this type of client, no such thing. I mean, most of them are serving that 25 user environment that's their client, and so in this scenario, in role playing game, you're like every other MSP out there right now that I work with, which is no. And most of them don't have vCISO service, and if they do, it's something they offered themselves as just a titular aspect that isn't really doing a lot of these things. And Travis, you nailed it here in the comments of the covered entity aspect of it from HHS, but you're responsible for notifying them about the exposure, as you put in the chat, and that is the point too.
This is having this group, Matt, is a really unique time to ask them. Well, Will, how many times do you run into MSPs that have vCISO services, and or did you ultimately their customers already have a CISO in place? What's the frequency of that?
I actually passed that over to Andy since he's taking most of our intake now.
No, I would say that the number of MSPs offering it is definitely on the increase, just because of demand. If you look at the post-COVID world, there's so many more people under FTC safeguard rules that can't throw their nephew who plays a lot of Xbox in the back down as their certified tech person, right?
Now, Andy Runyon.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's on the rise, but out of 10, 3.
How many?
4.
Yeah, 2, 3. 30%.
Yeah. And that's with an increase in demand.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think if you ask this too, where let's say that you have some exposed private data, like I think to your point, we've covered it. The goal is to make sure that we have clear and documented that we have spoken to them and explained to them what we know. I think to the other point, some of the things I've heard really well were things like, hey, how did you guys have that in your MSA so that you knew clearly how they had to ask you for a BAA and what that step would be? And do you dictate the BAA? Does your MSA wrap that in? And a lot of what, Travis, you bring up the attorneys because they're going to be analyzing those things and deciding which is the better choice from an insurability to pay, right? Which way do we have to deal with this? And what is our liability here in those choices and what we have there? So the big point is I just want people that are listening at home to know that if you have HIPAA or PII data that's under these kind of contractual obligations, you're going to need to be able to document and explain that. And
we got a couple of injects here. So Dynamic
they're
Wellness,
mad.
They're pissed off. Man.
Why? I guess you have to explain the situation. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and
why
they want the
so
CEO, so they're dragging the CEO to their place to deal with it. And then the restore service at Pioneer Clinic failed, so they automatically allocated one of your techs to try and get that done.
So Bob, just to get clarification here, if I put a technician somewhere where there's no servers down, they get put on workstations instead?
That's correct.
How that works?
That is correct.
That is correct.
Yeah.
100%. Got it.
Bob's being really nice to y'all. He's explaining things and being.
Well, I mean, the
we're
guys
insurance agents.
But that's also because we're so cool under pressure. We don't even mind asking questions.
I love you so much.
I mean, I like watching people twist in the wind and like the next.
What's up, Wilson?
Right, but
well, now that we got a lot of servers down, start prioritizing one. I think certain industry, and then also bigger clients as well. And let me know. I got the money numbers if you want the MRR or their revenue.
What industry we thinking? Still healthcare?
Yes, national healthcare would be a huge one. They have 192 workstations.
Yeah, I've already got one on there.
20K in MRR there.
To those guys.
Dynamic Wellness, 148 down.
Think about the math. Think about the math. Those techs can do 4 workstations. Those admins can do 2 workstations. So just be thinking about the math as you go through this.
Dynamic Wellness would be a good one.
And the reason the workstations take longer is it's just that repeatable need to. My icons were up here on the left, and now they're not. It's that constant just level of effort that is needed to make that where it functions for those users, right?
Wilson, I've got 2 rooks left. Give me some guidance on where to place these last 2 rooks.
And y'all got a lot of pawns.
Darren, Oscar, you guys see any other?
What have you hit so far, Andy? Andy, look at local government would be a good one. I mean, we're talking 911.
I've already universal public sector, state government. I've got those guys. Local government, municipal services. Got it. Okay.
You got 30 seconds. That clock ain't going to stop.
Hit the construction, Andy.
We got plenty of time.
And Bob just got ahead of time to try to make you feel more anxious. We're down at 30 seconds.
We got 30 seconds.
20 seconds.
24 seconds,
The
Bob.
law group would be great, Andy.
I've already got everybody out, man.
Yeah. I can tell you, this is another one of those observations that playing this game will make
2 more
you do.
pawns.
How do you prioritize who? You know what I mean? That's
2 pawns. Don't leave them on the table.
They're not.
Bob, I'm an old defensive coordinator. 30 seconds is an eternity.
That is an eternity. You're not wrong. Not wrong. All right. Okay, so under what circumstances would we pay a ransom? Remember, this isn't my insurance hat. This is I'm a business practitioner hat. When do you pay a ransom? And go.
At the
Never wear
absolute
Americans.
last- well, no, at the I mean, at the
-1 Matt point.
last
Great soundbite.
last ditch resort when all other options have been expunged.
That's accurate. That's
Well,
accurate. Andy.
also, I mean, we
There's a
know
better
that
definition though.
we know that we have a cyber insurance policy. So has it been negotiated?
Yeah.
Have they brought in a negotiator to have a conversation
Sure.
with the threat actor to try and bring that cost down? I also think it's important to know any laws pertaining to the state that we're in.
Yeah.
So, for example, like
Johnny
some of those are
foreshadowing.
municipalities. If we're in Florida, for example, they can't pay a ransom, so they need to know
When
that.
some will wind you up in federal prison. We'll talk about that in just a second.
Yeah, so super important.
What I think I wanted to cover here is, and there's a best definition for this. Anybody else want to take a poke at when we pay the ransom? And this is sadly the answer, in my opinion.
Jaron, when would you pay a ransom?
I wouldn't kind of like until the last
like last second, right? But I wouldn't admit anything, right, until like the insurance company, or I wouldn't say anything until the insurance company says, "Yeah, go through."
Agreed. But assuming that's in the place, when does an insurance company often pay the ransom, Jaron?
When they test the encryption key, Matt.
Not wrong, Wilson. Extra points for that, but not what I'm
Good.
after.
Okay.
What I'm after is when the business impact is greater than the cost of the ransom. That is typically when they pay the ransom, and it sucks. That's a bullshit answer, but it's the reality of it today. Now, to your point, we are now seeing a trend of fighting to say no. Least case, don't want to do it. And to your point, Will, if you pay a threat actor on the OFAC sanctions list, you can go to jail. Potentially, you at the very least will have a fine. So please, God,
it's a better class of jail because it's a federal jail, but it's still a jail.
I
square meals a day, baby.
The point being,
though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You don't want to do
I'm
that.
just saying,
There are people. Go ahead, T.
You got the moral cost as well, which is hard to quantify, right? Like we had a scenario close to where I live where a local government had a ransomware event, and they were taking a guy who was on multiple rape charges in the county to court on Tuesday, and it was Sunday, and all the evidence was on the server. So like that's not a financial issue, right?
Yeah,
that's right. So they ended up paying a ransom because of the moral cost rather than the financial.
We paid
cost.
5 ransoms, and of those ransoms, the ones we had to pay were either backup failures that did not function as we thought, and the data cost and data differencing cost was going to be too much, and then the other was when I wanted to forensically prove that we had been screwed and lied to by the person that sold to us, and that they had covered up before, and we needed the forensics evidence, and so we had to pay for all of our servers to be decrypted as they sat with the initial information. And so there's going to be times, I guess what I wanted to do is bring up a complex topic that it's not as easy as everybody wants to make it and as our regulators think it is, because some of the times we just don't have many choices and insurance will dictate it. So anyways, that is a good topic. Thank you all.
All right. You see this, you got an inject this time too. A Restore It Dynamic Wellness with HIPAA data.
This was the one where Ethan's tech actually drove with a drive home. It was not encrypted and lost the drive, full of HIPAA information that he was restoring, and therefore they knew that there was an unencrypted drive with lots of PHI, PII, and records on it that was all going and traveling with this guy and is missing now, and therefore this is a you problem, and you have lost unencrypted health information that you were charged with. I see you, Jaron.
Okay, so question on and Bob, you may not be able to answer to this team. Sure. I've been sending these rooks back to National Healthcare every day because they're large. Do we need to kind of dissipate into our other folks that way they get some service, or do we keep hitting the big ones?
I will tell you this. I'm not answering that question. You guys need to make the call the ball. As I told you about the map. That was as far as I was going to go.
I'm sending one to National Healthcare every day. Do we want to start touching some of these other people, guys?
That's a very good question, Andy.
I think we got to show face.
It's a very executive question, Andy.
Very.
So am I supposed to be doing something here?
You're supposed to be coaching.
You're supposed to be sending Slack
board
messages at people and then complaining because we're not making decisions fast enough.
Travis, you're pretty much meeting with legal services, and that's pretty much the extent of what you're probably doing.
Travis is actually the CEO, right?
Yeah.
CEO. So you should be giving guidance, right? Because your view tells you how many years you've known these people.
You've got
a column about.
Can I, as the tech lead, go to one of these sites? Like, I'm confused.
You could.
It gives me the option.
You have the option to, Will Brooks.
Okay.
This game's awesome.
All right, I'm
Sorry.
going over to dynamic.
Like
I'm going over
everything,
to
there are
dynamic
ramifications.
wellness.
Travis,
Yeah,
where do you want me to take you?
Put me to dynamic wellness, because this is the second inject they've had, and they're a massive one. So just put me there.
Is that a support lead?
Where would a
No, I'm
CFO
the-
go in this situation? I mean, you could put me.
Nah,
somewhere.
there's no-
How would
there's
Check
you
those
really no-
third-party accounts
There isn't? Okay.
overseas.
I got you.
I will say that
I just deployed
the new
myself.
framework, there's actually going to be more resource allocation on the.
Yes, we've got some
financial
cool stuff
part, so-
coming. This is game
Yeah,
one.
Yeah, I just deployed myself
Okay.
to dynamic wellness.
Did you? What happened to your screen?
It
Yeah.
disappeared.
That's
so
interesting.
if you're a leader and you take yourself out of the office, out of the command and control seat, and you
can't
go into the
leave.
field,
I
you no
understand.
longer have the visibility.
It's
you
good to
have
know all
on it.
these rules of the game while we're
No,
playing.
no, we don't want to do
Yeah.
that. That's rude.
Yeah.
I'm glad I
That
didn't do
doesn't
it
make
yet.
the
then.
stress level high.
No,
So
I
does
did
it make, hey, serious question, honest question then
Yes.
for the team. Does it make sense, like for us that are in the administration, to go ahead and deploy our pieces and then go out in the field? That way we get everything out and then we can go at the end.
Let me
That
tell
would
you the
make
one mechanic. If you go into the field, depending on when you do that during the allocation
when you
phase,
come
you're
back.
not going to be able to allocate until you get back to that same time the next round.
Oh,
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, let's
Oh,
go through it. We only have
interesting.
limited time. We got to keep it moving. So an MSA tells the customer our terms, conditions, and liability. And we heard Travis bring this up earlier, so awesome. An SLA tells the audience what level of service we're committing to. And I actually have real case law now to support these conversations. Do we have defined SLAs as an organization? Yes or no?
Yes,
We do.
Yes, we
they're
do.
published.
What are
They're
our thoughts
published.
on that? Are they're published and it says yes? Are there positives or negatives of an SLA in this type of an exigent circumstance? Let's go.
Negatives because the bad guys can see what we're expected of.
Not just that. There's more. Take it further. You're right.
Can I? Oh wait.
Yeah,
On the
go.
same vein.
so,
You mean on
What's
the
that?
same vein of the threat actor side?
Uh-huh.
Can they?
No,
I mean,
no. It's in the vein of your customer side.
That's
Okay,
correct. That's
so
correct.
my thought process is I'm looking at allocating all these resources, and there's not enough resources to allocate to every single business.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
So in my mind, I look at that and I'm like, well, if I commit to saying I can do all these things and then I can't, then
We're
we
done
have a
here.
Go,
I'm out.
Will Brooks.
He's got it. We're done.
He's
here.
got it.
Yeah, I'm wrapping this up. Yeah,
How many
that's
map
it,
points
Will.
did I get?
You got all of them. No, I'm just kidding. You can't get ahead of Travis. He's
I
crushing
win.
it right now.
Goodbye.
So straight up though, Will, this is so important. There's actually a Sentinel One just did a write-up with a couple of attorneys in Australia, and in this they talked about a subrogation case where the insurance company of the underlying client was able to sue successfully, not because of the actual creation of this loss, but because of the breaking of the SLAs.
Wow.
And that number became the way they were able to subrogate back. And so published SLAs and external SLAs, if you're going to meet them, they better be damn well defined. They better have exigent circumstances where your state will allow, so that you can say, hey, if I'm experiencing this, then this is the SLA, so that you have something to legally protect yourself in the MSA. And so the other aspect might be that you might have internal targets and not published SLAs, especially if your client does not demand those SLAs. And I would give that to Travis from the point's perspective of, you also have now limited what the threat actor can know about those SLAs and what remuneration will be in the insurance company's thought process when they're trying to decide what to do, thus forcing the hand of the insurance company to pay. Does that make sense? That's exactly
this
right.
is one
Yeah.
of those like, oh man, this could happen, but will it? And this is more of a curiosity thing. If I'm publishing my SLA and I can't allocate all those resources, but that SLA is accessible by the threat actor, what's stopping them from calling up one of these businesses and being like, hey, so
Yeah,
let me
100%.
help you out?
100%.
social
And I
engineer 'em.
don't know how much it's happening, but you just gave me something to be terrified of. Sorry, Wilson. I had to cut you off.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
big,
100%.
you know, from an MSA standpoint, it's really important to have that lined out in your MSA. That if you have what's the equivalent of a force majeure process, right, where something's happened, then those SLAs don't count, right? It's just important to have that.
Oh, guys, I have a bad.
Coil
Yeah.
said you guys didn't
We got
show
fired.
up. You got
Andy.
fired. Yeah,
Dynamic
it sucks.
oil, man.
I will tell
I
you to add
can't. I
to this
can't
that
see anything because I didn't know if I went out into the field, I wasn't going to be able to
what
see
a
any.
great move. I want to find
So,
who did that and kick him right in the
Yeah.
ding ding. I don't
Yeah,
know who
well.
it was, but right. Oh, it was
Yeah, let's remember who told you it was okay first. And so let's just remember that. I'm telling you,
I'll have
anytime Matt
about
sounds
10 seconds to get these rooks out, Wilson. So
You'll
Yeah.
get it, bro. I believe in you.
look, I'm just gonna. Hey, here's something from your Uncle Bob. Anytime Matt sounds like he's helping you, you need to stop and think hard.
That's not nice. It's not inaccurate, but Yeah.
If he's standing there
All
going,
right.
oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah, no worries.
So how long am I in the field for?
Till the same time you
you
left.
Until the
back to
same
Yeah,
time
keep
you're
watching
in
because
now.
you're only going to have a short amount of time to allocate.
But only one turn,
54
correct?
grand.
Yeah.
Bob,
Well,
only one turn.
because
Yeah,
I'm
it only
still in the
lasts-
field.
well, that's right. Yeah, well, because it depends. You were allocated toward the end of the allocation thing, so
God.
Got your passport,
yeah.
buddy. You're going to Germany.
Yeah.
What are
Re-
okay? Never
just
mind.
refresh your page every now and then just to make sure. But it's going to be about the same time that you got allocated. And I thought it was within this time range, so you should at some point be able to come back. But,
Okay, I
Yeah, I
understand.
thought it was 53 seconds. But
yeah,
I
it
could
was.
be
Well,
wrong.
that's right. It's like I said, I'm
53.
I wasn't paying attention.
I
Yeah,
I
you
could
got
be wrong.
you got the boogie. So what I would tell you is just in your mind, pick a target and be ready to rumble. That's all I can say.
Who's allocating the administrators?
That would be Andy, who's stuck out.
Yep,
He's
I'm
waiting to
stuck
get
out
back
in
to
the
the
field.
office.
He's coming
Oh,
back in
you're on
about
the field.
12 seconds,
Alright.
give or take.
If you want, I mean, I'm gonna. You
Oh, you're
might
good. I
want to
got
tell
it.
me where to
Gotcha.
look because I'm gonna
You
have to
should
go
see
quick.
it soon, Andy.
Wilson, where do you want them?
Oh, I should
Um,
handle that in that other time.
Oh, we don't.
Just,
we
just
don't
start
wanna
pressing
lose.
it, bud. Just
Yeah,
go.
anywhere.
Hey, if
Anywhere's
you-
great.
Future transport would be good. We don't have any allocated there.
All right,
Start
refresh your
hitting the
page, Andy.
oil
You should be
and
good to
gases.
go.
I am not good to go.
Universal
refresh
health care would be really nice. Not a
I'm
client
still
we
on
want to
good to
use.
go. Oh, there we go.
Hey, if you
Okay.
dump one in, if you dump one,
27
into integrated
seconds.
bank, then
That's lifetime.
we never have to
Defensive
deal with
coordinator.
it.
Yeah, that's right. That's a lifetime.
What's
Uh,
that?
Municipal services, the petroleum place, the fuels. Any you still see servers, Andy.
Integrated bank only has one server down. If we repair
10
that,
seconds.
then we've checked off an entire business.
Well,
Have we
that
done
means
anything with
whoever's
the city?
assigning the
You got time
text
for
needs
one
to
more
get their
play?
shit together and put somebody there.
Come on, Will, you got two more.
He
on
probably
there.
has. It was just
I
a
had to
matter of-
assign all my texts to people who have seen no text yet, Bob.
That a boy.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what you
27
do.
Was a stress
That way I don't get
story.
fired again.
Okay, our techs are still busy constantly, and their communication with the customer has been spotty.
Oh,
One
good
of the
job.
things I want to tackle, and I want to see if this group can come up with it. Travis, you're probably the likely person to get this. What's one way to solve an external communication challenge where you do not have enough people to respond in the same normalized way, but still need to get a constant response out?
You hire a PR firm.
Yeah, that's that.
what-
Yeah.
What else? Let's think in a smaller. We're not in that
Travis
position.
would use
perspective.
ChatGPT to generate some sort of very specific message.
Travis
to
would
send
do
out to all of our
No.
Jaron, I saw you come off mute.
Just to jump back on
Travis's point, when we have cyber insurance, do we have media liability at all on our, so that we can have funds allocated
So that I can
we
take
can
you where I
actually
want you
hire
to
a PR
go.
firm?
So that I can take you where I want you to go. The answer is no, as Travis has predicted with his head shake. What I'm wanting
Well,
to get at.
this also,
and
Matt,
continue,
just
Will.
that would
clarify
have
real
needed to
quick.
happen like 5 steps
Ago though, so
Yeah, it could have.
Probably.
It could have.
It could have.
Matt, can you clarify in like a 10-second explanation here?
Yes.
This is specifically communication to our customer base and to our techs to say techs get on this, or is this specifically?
No, this is
No,
more just for customer
customer
base.
base.
This
Okay.
is your constituents.
E-
Go ahead.
We have to
External
update.
facing.
We have to update them constantly.
How?
I mean,
How, Wilson?
is groveling at their feet.
feet an option.
Emails probably
is.
back up in
All right,
some
you're on the right
capacity,
train of
Matt.
thought,
We're
Wilson.
operating on
Email's
an
not up, but what
outside.
else?
Email's not up.
Let's say your
Mail it.
website's up though.
Website, newspaper. Let's do it in the newspaper.
We're doing newspaper.
Website,
Just 'cause we
LinkedIn,
have a
any
minute
social
left.
media, any social media
tackle
we
it
might
this way.
have.
Okay.
Just posting it on Facebook and saying, "Don't worry, not okay." That's not the answer.
Probably not the best methodology. So
Don't worry,
here's
be
what I was
happy.
getting
That's what
at.
we do in the South.
It is very helpful to have a comms page ahead of time that is structured
Ooh,
to
yeah.
say, hey,
That's
here's our choosenetworks.com/comms. And when you go there, you will see that we have a timer that says, hey, at 12 p.m. we'll release another update of where we stand and what we're working on. 12 p.m. Hey, our technicians are beginning restoring services to the most critical clients first. We have a plan. We're
Yep.
following it. We'll let you know the next option. What I wanted us to land on is it is very helpful to have a cadenced comm plan. And the reason for this is, since we are live, is that when you see the press secretary of the White House come out and speak to the press, they say the same thing 12 different ways. Why? Because they have comms cards. They have a structure of what they're going to say, how they're allowed to answer, what are those things, and they use them over and over again in different rhetorical ways. My argument is start taking control of your comms in systemic ways rather than in reactive ways. And if
Right.
you start being able to say, no, I'm not going to take this call, I'm going to send this to our comms page, and you can check there for frequent updates. And if you get super, super dope, you might end up giving every one of your customers a separate trust page that you can give that message to them directly about their stuff in ways that gets really, really specific and really, really don't sue me, and to your point earlier, Travis, through whatever the attorneys approve for us to say. But it gives you a cadence of that release and a time that you can release it and a way that you can release it that doesn't give people the ability to overwhelm your abilities.
Man, their role just came in. Their role, they
had SLAs, and now this big client that they've sent a CEO to 5 times that they've been working on restores instead of helping others has now fired you and hired that MSP that called and wasn't the threat actor, even though Will has now horrified us with that possibility.
Will, you can now allocate these nights. They have the same abilities as a technician, so you can add pluses of the nights on the right along with your pawns because you were in a peer group. This came from the fact that we were part of a peer group. And the peer group showed up for us and sent us some text
about this.
And I'm going to take a 2-minute
how about that?
Perfect.
Our reputation damage is piling, guys.
It is,
and money lost is our MRR is growing.
As far as relationships, city administration, the government one, that's our longest relationship. I'm just looking at these.
That's
columns.
interesting, right? So that's interesting. You're pointing that out. Why is that important? Because that's a really good call out. Why would somebody want to think of it in terms of looking at it from that perspective?
They're going to be the most forgiving.
Yeah. Well, and they're the people that you're going to have to build what's left of this organization back on with, right? Because you got the longest relationship. So the odds are they'll stick with you, but it doesn't always happen.
Wilson, is there anything that you can see or where I should put this last pawn?
Universal healthcare needs some.
Yes.
Yep. Dump resources.
Healthcare.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Will, you can, like I said, you can do the nights as well. You can do the plus sign by the nights as well.
Yeah. Andy, honestly, I'm just thinking of money side. I can tell you the larger clients.
Dynamic.
We've lost 300,000 in gross revenue. So
yeah.
Dynamic
2 million.
Guys, I got 4 more nights I can dump.
Dynamic shipping. Premier Energy. Global hauling.
You only need 3 at dynamic shipping.
Yeah. Our servers are all back up, by the way.
I know.
Good deal.
You're welcome.
You've touched everybody, so good.
Yep. Municipal services, Andy. Local government sites.
Is Universal Health getting taken care of? Universal Health?
I can dump one more into Universal Health.
Yeah, do that.
Yep.
What up?
Let's
who's having fun?
Pioneer Oil.
All right, good.
All right, I'm all allocated here.
Do we have anything else to throw at Pioneer Oil?
Yeah, Pioneer Oil would be a big one. Or
I guess
transport right below it. Future transport's probably big.
Yeah, put both of those. Put one in each of them. You've got 2 of those, can't you? Or what are the bishops?
Nope, we're done. We're out.
Okay.
Oh, 2 seconds.
Oh, those are leads.
All right. So everybody's been under a small amount of stress for 8 days, right? Even if you feel a tiny little bit of stress through this event, people doing this and dealing with it have had people say to them, I hate you, Matt. Wish we had never met your company. I'm going to have to fire 3 of my longest employees because I can't deal with this. Like the stress and challenge of that becomes kind of personal. And so people are starting to burn out. In fact, I'll say that in the acquisition of Voldemort, no employee stayed after that event. We had lost every employee, every client on $1 million revenue client. So just let that sink in as to the way that played out in Voldemort because they were very stressed. So what do you need to do? What do we need to do to manage that stress, especially if you're enforcing overtime, perhaps, in your role?
Pizza parties.
No, I was going to say this is where the pizza parties come in. I was going to say this.
I would say no pizza party. I will say feed them. The challenge with a pizza party is you have this very negative event now associated with that aspect of a pizza party, of you bringing it in for fun. It's not a fun event. It sucks. But joking aside, genuinely food. Right, and that is definitely the point.
Make sure people are fed and hydrated. You know, that their body functions are working and things like that. But I mean, like mentally checking in with them, man. What I've seen professionally is when the proverbial crap hits the fan, people turn to their best employees, and they tend to overload their best with more, right? And you can lead into a situation where you piss off the best people in your organization because you give them too much, right? So just those folks that are at the top end that you lean in on the most, pull them aside and be like, man, look, how's it going? Yeah. Do you need a bit? Do you need a breather? You know, how are you doing? Because some people are like, man, piling on me. This is It's a stressful time. Give me all you can give me, but you
You're not
definitely
wrong.
don't want to run off your talent by giving them too much.
Anybody else?
It's okay to take breaks.
Yep.
Let's do some breathing exercises at the start of the day before you all run off to your places. Like, let's actually sit down. Just not
100%.
don't just show up at your client's location and get to work today. Like, let's gather as a team. Let's have some just like reset time. I think it's really important to acknowledge that it's a team, even though they're in these individual sites being assigned, and we're in this together, right? So like, let's keep that team mentality, the camaraderie together.
Now we're a week out. Can we run payroll, Matt? I mean, that's usually a big
that was an initial challenging, right? Like, joking aside, like, you might not have the cash flow. Your clients are saying, I'm not paying you until you get me back up. And I know I owed you last month, and that's not part of this, but I'm not paying. We'll let the insurance company sort it out, right? And I'll also add to that as you have to pay for these ransoms, you know that you have to pay it out of your pocket first, and the insurance company reimburses, at least in most cases, unless that's changed. I had to do that on our
Got to get a good policy, buddy. Got to get a good policy.
So see, I just don't know what's better out there. I was driving a Chevy, not a Cadillac. That's on me. Somebody's gonna give me Chevy hate now. I'm sorry. But,
it happened. Oh yeah, you got another.
God, that's a lot of texts, y'all.
Another
Jeez,
peer
you got 5
group.
more
Another
texts.
peer
Somebody
group.
must love y'all.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Nice.
And
That means
specifically
Will's
call
got.
us out. Bob, why don't you tackle while they're doing this how you solve that not beating your people up, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that.
After because after going through the SolarWinds incident, right, and we had our people like wound up for like a week, never all the time, full time. The one thing that I learned from that is that I'm gonna find third party resources to help me do a lot of the remediation. I'm gonna save my people. I'm not gonna wear them out because in the end, when it's all said and done, I need them to be ready to start building trust back with these organizations,
100%.
that their customers. Plus, the other part of that is that we were not reimbursed for our people's time. Right?
Neither were we.
So our people's time, we were not.
Yeah.
But if we
Our
would have
overtime,
used, if we would have used
expenses,
if we would have used third parties for this, our policy would have paid us, as a resource. So that's another thing. You actually, from a company standpoint, if you have the right policy and you have the right, they have the right terms with it, then it can actually kind of help save your business, right? Because it can keep you from wearing your people out and or not getting reimbursed for a lot of work that's got to get done. So
correct.
Hey Bob, clarity. Anywhere I place my guys in a workstation, it's 8.
No, 4.
No, it's 4. It's half, or it's 2 for an admin. And
is it 2 for an admin? It's 4 for a tech.
4 for a tech.
Yeah.
Is it 8 where Andy places them? Is that what it is?
No.
Okay.
That was server restorations back in what they could do as a
no.
server.
And Andy's people. It's always been 2 workstations.
Yes,
2. Okay, I get it now. I just wanted to make sure I had the right.
The argument is the admins aren't going to be as good at the tech stuff anymore because they're adminning.
Can we get an admin over to the bank?
I
we
have
only got one. We only got one down.
Nice.
On the bank. So let's just get the bank 100% up and
Pull it
rolling.
back up. That's me, right?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Oil and gas, let's make a little bit of an effort on anything oil and gas.
Yep.
I feel like
we already lost one. They're talking.
Yeah, we've been depriving them. Innovative Financial, they don't give us a ton of revenue,
but they only need 3, right?
Right, exactly. So
I'm just wrapping it up.
Yeah, let's start.
I got all these extra guys now. Might as well.
I think they're probably the furthest ahead so far, Bob.
We got 20 seconds. Let's make sure we get this done.
You don't think so?
I don't know. Because the way it's the way
they've
it kind
had
of
near
works.
Dynamic shipping. Can we finish?
No, I had an idea. I just finished out a bunch of them.
Okay, cool.
So I mean, if you look over here for all the check signs where they finished a bunch of people, you don't see those, right? So.
All right. So if you are going to have an MSA,
it's all about moving things around.
The things that you've seen in your experiences, both either in the player hat or in your insurance hat, what are some key things to have in an MSA?
Everything.
Cyber insurance.
So I had that's a really good one. But I had a fantastic call with Brad Gross on my first podcast episode all about MSAs, and
love me some Brad.
A huge part of it was like, hey guys, let's talk about how you cannot be working on handshake agreements here. Literally every service you do needs to be under that MSA. Like,
yeah,
I'm not even if you're doing even if you're doing break fix, that needs to be under the MSA. Like just the way that you're working with your clients. So I think a key component is that every client needs to be under an MSA.
100%.
There shouldn't be
Yeah,
any
100%.
clients on our roster here who are not under an MSA. I'm gonna start there.
Yeah,
Even if they're my best
Say
friend.
it again for those in the back. Back there.
Even if it's my best friend,
Again.
he's not my best friend anymore when something like this happens.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Limits the liability to either a personal, to a number value or to a value of services rendered.
Yeah.
See
Whatever
that a
your
lot.
state
And then
supports. Yeah.
that's right. And then to Travis's point, it's going to sound salesy because we're an insurance company, but they really do need to require cyber insurance.
Oh, that's
if you don't want to give a number to it, that's fine, because I understand if you say, hey, you need to get $1 million, people are going to get $1 million when they need 10.
Yeah, you can't do that.
The language that I like is cyber insurance in line with a quantifiable loss potential or average loss potential for your industry or revenue or whatever, right? To where somebody helps them understand what their average loss is, and you buy cyber insurance with that amount.
Yeah, Andy,
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with you, but that is not trivial to get people to do that.
You're preaching to the choir there.
I'd make an argument of why that actually stands, in my opinion, of saying you might even be able to explain to that client that them having insurance in some ways protects them from you, because you now know that there's someone that would be willing to sue for subrogation, which means I will stand fast on what my MSA is, and I will hold you accountable to your crap. And it's a self-regulating factor. There's benefits and negatives on both sides, but at the end of the day, insurance is probably what fixes this fastest in our country, in my opinion.
I mean, we certainly put it in front of people, but if they say they don't want to choose it, then we just make them sign a waiver. So that we're covered.
And I'd even give them a quote for what an IR is going to be and an attorney is going to be. I'd get those things. And we did, Bob, I'll add to this. We used to charge, when companies didn't have insurance, I sold an IR and I marked it up. I went over to a third party and said, oh, $35,000? No problem. I marked that up my 35 points, and you're going to pay for it, Mr. Miss Client. And if you don't, I can't be your customer or your partner anymore, and we do have an incident we're going to have to deal with, right? And so
check out all those check marks, Bob.
This one.
There you go. That's the way to go, Mr. Brooks.
I do math. All right.
We need to pay some attention to Pioneer Oil.
Got it. I'm on it.
And there's an insurance agency in there. Get them up and running.
No, forget that.
No, forget them.
They shouldn't have a job anymore. They're
a generalist. They're a local generalist agent. They're part of the problem.
I love it. When we get people to play this, right, you can always tell where their heart is, right? Because if it's lawyers playing it, they say, no, let those lawyers burn. Let those lawyers burn.
We've seen it all.
Insurance companies, let those insurance companies burn, dude. We ain't got nothing to do with them. That's on. They're on their own.
Nobody says
Pioneer
that about
Clinic
healthcare.
could use some love.
I got it. Got Pioneer Clinic. Is there anybody else that's right on the verge of being back
Premier
up?
Energy, I'm fixing. I'm closing out.
No.
Progressive Fuels.
I love that you're taking a greatest reduction of outage strategy, Andy. Just that questioning that you're giving of how close
Integrated Motors. Integrated Motors is right here. The city administration, we're getting really close on. Integrated Motors doesn't have a lot to do.
Okay,
All towards the bottom.
I got a guy out the city administration. I've got one more. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right. Will, you got the hang of it. I will give you that, brother. Good job.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a
You're
gamer.
crushing it.
Yeah, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
That's why
I was a math major. I'm literally doing like division and multiplication.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You got your
right.
gazintas down pretty good. Yeah.
Ethan Tancredi is still the one that has won the best because he built the data, but he definitely cheats the system because of the data. So I know it is mathematically possible to cheat the system for the data itself.
Yeah, the new framework's going to drive him crazy though, because it
is
ain't
Counting
going to
cards over here.
It's totally exactly. Will, exactly.
Hey,
I actually have a side window that pulled up all the metadata for the website, and I'm just
nice. That's good. At least screenshots would impress me.
hey, do we have any more future transport? Maybe
we're out.
We're out. Does anybody have any sort of view into reputation? Because do I need to go visit somebody?
I might actually.
View into reputation would be in my mind. That's how many years you work with them. And
in the later game, though, Travis,
we need to talk about that because that's not true at all. So let's develop.
Well, it's a limiting factor on this model, but in the next one, it's all about
I'm
just
giving you a hard time.
That's fine. You're not wrong though. So, all right, very good. We're moving on. 28 seconds. Everybody's assigned. Everybody feeling confident that in the next 4 days you're gonna have everybody?
Hey guys,
back
we got
up?
20 seconds here. Let's discuss strategy for next time this rolls around. Like, do we
There you
want
go,
to make
Will.
sure? Let's try to like make sure we're balancing out, because we don't want anyone to be like, you're fired because you're not coming to me. But at the same time, make sure we're also allocating resources to try and close out as many as we can at the same time.
There you go.
I wonder if
we have
admins, even though they're not as functional, can still
That's
serve
very
the
good.
purpose of being somewhere and doing something for that.
But if we
purpose.
use an admin, then they can't
Then
allocate
I
on the
can't
next
see the
turn.
Right.
Okay.
I told you when you hear him saying stuff, you got to think hard. That's exactly right.
All right, when the work involved exceeds your capable resources, you can be innovative to solve that. So one of the things that we talked about, you saw that peer group pop in and that they helped. Anybody think of what are the risks of letting a peer group? I'm tackling this differently. What are the risks of letting someone else in to do the restorations?
Well, that could probably break an MSA agreement, right? You know, if
maybe.
it's not written in there, you know? So it's like in the liability, who's the liability on?
Yeah,
If something
that's part of
messes
it.
up.
Good
Well,
job.
anytime you bring somebody in from outside of your team in general, whether it's sports or business or anything, you worry about, does that outside person align with the same internal values that we have? So are they gonna
100%.
prioritize the same thing? Or are they gonna be cussing people while they're out on the
Will
spot?
they
You know,
try
I
to
mean,
steal
like,
your client while they're
yeah,
there?
That's what I said. Competition.
Well,
Right?
yeah. Do we have a mutual like assistance agreement?
That's
Is that what they're
exactly
called?
what I'm after, Travis. That's extra
Okay.
mat
Bingo.
points. You have too many mat points today. This is ridiculous.
Because
You gotta
with
drop
You're
that
gonna lose all
mutual
your hair, Travis.
is that how you lost yours, Will?
Yep.
Consuming mat points may be hazardous for your health. Anyways.
No, I mean it's just that extra layer of bureaucratic legal protection that you just got to
Yeah.
make sure is in place before you start
Yeah.
bringing other people in to
So,
do your job.
I'll
Wait,
beat
can
my
I
own
even
chest
offer,
on
though,
this. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Will.
go ahead, Matt.
I'll beat my own chest on this. Robert Chiaffi and I, what we're doing with CyberRise and MSP 911 is trying to have a pre-canned MAG that allows you to have non-competes, non-solicits, the ability for protection, defining of risk layer, defining of insurance requirements for those volunteers, so that you could set up the ability to say, hey, Will, can I pay you for 37% of your resource capacitance for the next 6 weeks at this rate, and I'll have this term that allows me to do this in a way that's cash flow capable for both of us? Like, that would be great to have that pre-built, and so we're working towards making that a capability. But if not, that's what, Bob, you've already done with some third parties, presumably,
That's
or
correct.
other methodologies to have those things in place. And so, Travis, yeah, I
right.
give you, like, nobody's ever come up with an MAG at this stage of this conversation. So super
But I
awesome,
think
dude.
I think
Very
that's
cool.
the key,
Yeah.
right? Even if there's no like malicious intent, you would want that
Yeah.
peer group person to be representing you, not representing their own
Yeah.
MSP
Right.
when they come in. Like, don't go
So-
in with a polo with your company's logo on it, and they're like, "Oh, I've never seen you before. Who are you?" And they just happen to like him or her more.
I'm making
you know?
Oscar answer this. So, what's the downside of having poorly documented procedures and having third parties help you?
Can you repeat the question again? Having
What's the downside of having no documented procedures and then asking somebody else to help do stuff for your clients?
Oh, they just don't know your business and they don't know your clients and they don't have
So they
the
suck.
personal relationship with them.
There's no roadmap
Yeah.
to follow. Oh,
Yeah,
here
they might
Yeah.
create something that just gonna
Yeah.
break that relationship
100%.
between you and your client. And they're like, man, you're giving my information to somebody
Oh,
else. They don't
man.
even know me.
Exactly. And they might fail.
Fired-
they might
fired.
not represent you well, right?
Yeah.
They might take their failure to be your failure, and even though you might have had the tribal knowledge for the people that are doing the work, you don't have it documented, and therefore you can't explain it. And now somebody's there trying to figure stuff out while they're also fixing your stuff. So yeah,
Who's the CEO? You got to get out there.
Me. Yeah, I'm.
Yeah.
Travis is
I'm-
already
He's
there.
already
He doesn't
out
have a
there.
choice.
Wait,
He's already out there. he
doesn't
didn't
have
have
a
a choice. Yeah.
Oop, we've made the point at 1 hour in that someone started using the private chat to try to get messages across over
There
people
you
being
go.
loud. I love it.
There you
Well
go.
played.
Yeah.
We can't throw anyone else at innovative.
No, because
So-
they got servers down. Until the servers get back up, you can't. That's correct.
Oh, got it. Okay. Man, we were so close to closing them out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody didn't follow the right
it-
procedures, and they stored everything on the very slow media, and they actually also exhausted it, and the logs blew up, and the virtualization platform crashed, and now you're having to bring them back up.
Like we're
Just for
about to be
event
hit
one
by a
off the hit.
train. I could actually hear it there for a second.
Yep. You can't throw it at their servers in this because the challenge is you still only have one restoration console and one throughput
Yeah.
of that restoration, right? There's still more humans doesn't mean more servers restored oftentimes, right?
Bob,
There's a limiting
do-
factor somewhere in that.
Mm-hmm.
Do administrators do anything, or they just hang out, make people feel good?
No, administrators are
they do
they're
half
system
the load,
administrators.
yeah.
They do 2 worksations a
They
time.
can do 2?
Andy,
Okay, cool.
Andy's been allocating them. And he's
he's been crushing it on that. Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Waiting.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
no, I
his
was
personnel.
sorry, not.
There we go. I'm back in now. Okay.
The
Never mind.
named
I was looking
role
at the
administrators
CFO.
you're
I got
thinking of,
confused.
Well, because I saw somebody put him, he got put in the field again last time. I noticed it was somebody put him in the field, or he put himself in the field.
Andy,
Yes,
can you
I
throw
know.
one at? I know it's small, but can you throw one at a Universal Law Group, if you have any left?
Universal Law Group. I do. I've been out in the field, so I just now got.
Oh,
back
that
in.
would probably wrap them up, I think, right? Or no?
Yeah, well,
Where are they
based
at?
on what I got in there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I don't see Universal Law Group.
Got to scroll.
Right there.
Yeah, I know,
See it
but-
on the screen.
Control F,
Oh,
Andy.
yeah,
Control
yeah,
F.
yeah. No, I got it. I got it. Chill.
I ended up zooming out so that I could see more on the screen at a time.
Don't say moron, Travis.
I love y'all
30
so much
seconds.
right now.
Oh, I gotta dump a bunch of these. Okay. Oops.
Yeah, you got to get cooking. A worst thing in the world is leaving them on the sideline.
25 seconds.
Yep.
I love how focused we are right now.
Yeah, but I know this happens right at like a
Every
day
time.
11 or 12. Everybody starts
Yeah.
figuring it out, and they get really focused on getting the
It's
job
awesome.
done.
Yeah. The stress
By the way,
levels tend to
this
drop at
mimics
this
how it is
point
in real
a
life.
smidge. Yeah.
Right, it's chaos in the beginning. It takes a little while to get your rhythm. You make a couple mistakes, and then all of a sudden, all right, I at least know what we need to do, and we get into a pattern,
Exactly.
right? So,
All right. Now, imagine, like we talked about with Oscar just a minute ago, if you use third-party resources on incidents, like having good processes and procedures might be critical, right? And how do you ensure that processes and procedures are documented? If you've lived in that life where you're turning wrenches all day, responding to problems, putting out fires while building, how do you get good documentation, Jaron?
Well, you got to be able to build it in everything that you do. You know, like if I'm a manager,
Bingo.
right, overseeing employees, you have to make it a part of a systematic thing that even if you suspect something might be sus.
my
I
new
think-
favorite
And
person.
use sus in the same
My
sentence,
new
dude.
favorite
Bro.
person.
Damn, girl.
100%.
Don't give me
Taking
any
away
map
Travis'
points, though.
map
I want
point
my
leads.
hair.
No, you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
Bob points. They're about 10.
I don't
Map
want
points less valuable than
Keep the-
hair. Gotcha. I
Yeah.
figured
Bob
this one
points.
out.
Bob points gives you a southern drawl, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, or smoke
And
boudin
the
after you're
second
down here. I'll get you.
employee-
Ooh, I want some boudin.
Second
Goodness
employee
gracious.
hired under the Mason-Dixon line. I would like that Southern draw, please.
Yeah, no worries.
Good.
No, but that's
All
it,
right.
right? That's a real key thing. If you make that part of your systems, then
Yeah.
the upkeep is automatic. It's self-regulating, right? If you just do the paperwork and you just got paper and binders, that's not going to stay current, and you're never going to be able to keep it
Yeah.
up to date. So
It
it
can't
has to
be
be.
also. It can't just be also when it's something that's going wrong too. I think you
Correct.
could have that going
No,
well
yeah, that's
too.
It has to happen
Yeah,
at
it's not
build.
just a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
At
it's not just
destruction.
honestly,
on fire.
honestly, what you do when it's going wrong should be the same thing you should
Good
be
call.
doing when it's going right. So
Well,
I mean, in the end,
But to
it should all be the
Jaron's
same.
point, systemic function means systemic, which means cradle to grave. It means that every time and place that it gets touched or could change, your change management has some ability to say something changed, right? And to the some point of where you document and where you don't comes along that normalization line, meaning if you're using all Azure AD, let's say, and that's all you're having to deal with, then they all become the same. And I don't have to explain all of it. I only have to explain the delineations or data points there. But the point is that, Jaron, nobody said this yet, of systematize it, make it part of the function.
right.
It's part of your role. It's part of measurement. But
That's
so
right.
is cybersecurity. Almost everything in cybersecurity is exactly to your point. The more it's systematized into the daily function,
That's
the more it is effective, efficacious, and probably efficient too.
Yeah, I mean, we do
no
everything through the ticketing system, and everything that we do has playbooks where they have to do them step by step, and they have to do everything through those playbooks. And the reason we do that is if something changes, we have to change the playbooks in their current when we need them.
Yep.
So
100%.
the way to do it, 100%.
All right. How do you develop that culture of documentation? I'd love somebody to try to tackle that really quickly. How do you reward it?
This is such a broad question. It can go
I know.
so many different ways.
Well,
But I
just
think
pick
that's
one.
something that you
Yeah.
bring it up, like whenever you have team meetings or whatever. I think you constantly bring it up, so it's something that it develops a tagline that people say that repetition is the key to learning. So it's
Amen.
anytime a manager ends a meeting or whatever, hey, remember we're documenting on this thing. So
And in a
it should just
positive
be
way, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
exactly.
not like you never. It's easier to draw people with honey than vinegar. So make it a part of an incentive structure. So
100%.
Good technology helps with that
Ooh,
too,
to
Matt.
the overtime
Yes.
policies, 2 of your techs quit.
It's all
They
right. We
just
got so
aren't
many
feeling
now
with it.
because of my
That's
video
true.
skills.
Yeah, he's got so many.
See you later.
Forget
Don't let the
those guys.
screen door hit you where the good Lord split you.
I don't remember going into the field last time. Can anybody tell me when I get visibility back?
Yeah, I don't have visibility either.
I didn't watch when you went in the field last time. So
I didn't remember going in the field.
I don't think you did.
Try refresh then. Hit F5.
Maybe you were one of them that quit.
That'd be terrible.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
Yeah, just refresh your page again, Andy, when you get a chance.
I am, and I'm still not seeing anything. It's all right.
I'm out too.
At some point.
You should be.
There are bugs in this version, so this could.
Well, we're getting off of this one, but this
so,
this hasn't been an overwhelming problem. So I don't.
No, this might be a new one for me. I got a pretty good memory.
I'm not in, so
yeah, I'm not in either.
Will, since I can't see anyway, do you want to just assign me to somebody?
Who are you? CEO?
CEO.
Oh, you're still stuck at Innovative Financial.
No, that's why you can't do anything. You are hard coded into
You're
that
out for a
group right now.
turn. Yeah, this is the other.
No, it's multiple turns, not just one.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. That they're really pissed off. Yeah,
That's
I mean
good.
they are really mad. So they want you there.
And the
until
attorneys are the
everything's
ones
back
that
up.
told you
There
you
we
had to
go.
go there.
Okay, I'm back.
and sort this
I'm
out.
back.
All right.
Can we fix them? Can we get them going like ASAP?
He's dropped enough to get him fixed. He's got three. He's got 3 texts there. So
Good.
Yeah, I got him fixed. You're good.
yeah, you should be good.
Good communications, y'all.
Should be out of customer prison here in just a little bit.
I will tackle. Will had brought up internal comms. You know, Robert Chaffee, when he tells his story, he literally had a wall with sticky notes on it and a color for each tech, so that they would be, oh, brown is sitting over here at this group of clients. Oh, purple is over at this group of clients. And he, you know, so you think about that comms, and sometimes it can get really wild. I personally believe in having a second out-of-band comms methodology for your team. We actually had 2 backup methodologies for us at Iconic. One was using back to Zoom instead of Teams, and then the second one was actually ham radio as an extensibility if we were in a serious disaster between each
Andy,
site. So, yeah.
Can you throw one at municipal services? It'll close it out.
I'll have to come back off of somebody there. Hold on.
Yeah, just take a minus to somebody and do it. You got 15 seconds.
13 seconds.
Oh,
It'll
great.
close out municipal services.
No worries for a defensive coordinator.
I mean, Vince,
Oh, good. I got it done.
There you go.
Yeah, you got 6 seconds of play. He's good.
Piece of cake.
Oh no! One second.
Swim X.
Oh, you got it in at the last second.
Yeah,
bro.
you did.
All right.
That's what I'm talking
In the process
about.
of dealing and prosecuting an incident, you find out that there are 2 businesses. 2 of your clients are sharing the same infrastructure. They've snuck in another tenant that's come under them. They've had them use their building and use their network. We've set them up as an account on the Active Directory. They've had an external email address as a TLD added to the Office 365 environment, so they can just simply take advantage of their cost savings in that perspective. What's a challenge with that, y'all? Will, I see you shaking your head. You want to tackle it first?
Well, I mean, just alone the nature of the business they're doing versus the one that we're providing security for. I mean, one of the things we talk about from the insurance perspective all the time is different industries, different revenues. All those things play a major factor in the insurance side of things. And on top of that, now there's some things around subsidiaries and whatnot with insurance, but not so much that. But we don't know if that's fitting the risk. We don't know if we're securing that other business properly. They're just taking advantage of security services, but are they really? Like they might think they're secured and they're not.
Yep.
What about support?
I mean, yes. I was just going to go straight to the data separation aspect of it. Like, how are we keeping company A and company B's data separated in the event of these backups, this breach? Like, who's going to notify who? What kind of compliance issues are we going to have?
Yeah, that was my thought. It's like if one, let's say one of them's under FTC compliance and the other one isn't, and all the data's pulled, you get in there. How the hell do you figure out who to find?
Yeah, 100%. And so when we talk about this, what would you rather have? How would you handle this if someone came to you and actually brought you into this as a request? Would you probably guide them to their own distinct infrastructure, or at least some logical separation methodologies that allow you that capability? Right? Is that probably the thought process here? In a separate MSA?
I'd probably want to yes, but I'd also probably want to educate more specifically on the importance of having those distinct infrastructures like we just talked about, so things don't get muddied. But at the same time, one of the questions talking about a spin up or a startup, even like a smaller business that they're trying to get going, I want to support that from the customer service perspective, and as the business owner recognizing, hey, they may have this other company that is doing really well, but they have this other one that they're dumping a ton of financial resources into, so we want to help protect it, but maybe from a customer service space, hey, let's not charge them the same amount for this one as we're doing this one.
Well, and I've seen it play out. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if these are two business entities and they're both two different legal entities,
Yeah.
you got to deal with that, right? Because
Yeah.
that's if you are I'm a service provider and you don't know that you got two different legal entities on the same, in the same space, then there are more risks. Like if you don't pick up on that and they're the ones that compromise things, then it gets really muddy. So.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, exactly the points we wanted to get across there.
Yep.
All right. I saw the horror on Will Brooks' face. I just saw him die a small amount inside as I started reading that one. So I just knew that had to be you. Have that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good conversation.
All right. It's real
they're gonna
quiet
get
in here,
busy.
y'all.
I'm
they're
still
probably
over
focused.
at Innovative Financial, like just chilling.
Yep.
Yeah, he's still stuck there, even though everything's restored.
Yeah.
Well, can we get
there's bugs.
between me and you? Can we get integrated motors back up with 18 down?
Yeah, we can. Hold on. I'll throw
Nice.
4 in there. You just throw 1.
Okay, got it.
That is a
See
lot
what
of
else.
technicians. 16 techs.
We've got a
that's
couple with
ridiculous.
20. Public administration and progressive law associates are close. You
guys
want
got
to do
the roll
those?
here, y'all.
They're pretty close.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but we also want to make sure we're diversifying too, because otherwise they're gonna
Global gas
losing someone.
workstation 0. I
For
mean,
global
One
gas.
could imagine 14 days is a reasonable timeline for ending a game on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Johnny foreshadowing.
National healthcare, man. That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's been hard.
What's great is when you look at the actual data on this is a pretty good mock-up of most MSPs serving this type of constituents of the way their revenue spread will be. If y'all, we did a lot of work on that, but always it's played out.
So
very
I'm
good
no
for
MSP,
us.
but is there benefit, and this is me just positing, is there
Yeah.
benefit to saying, hey, let's try to get some of these smaller businesses up and running quickly so that we can dump all of our resources into the bigger one?
There's a strategy.
There you go. That is a strategy.
Will, and I would say actually, if you think about the mechanics and then what we tried to reward in that strategy, is that you have less people calling in that are down, but you have this
Right.
downside of now they're actually back to regular business, and you're gonna have to dedicate some of your techs to actually managing that flow.
Right.
But at least you have less
point.
number of quantity of people calling in as entities. Right, and you can focus to your point now on I can put a person in your building. They're going to stay here for the rest of this time, and you guys all focus all your. You know what I mean? Like you could, yeah. So yes, I think. there's a
Well, I
benefit.
would argue that it does help your social media metric. I call it a social
For
media
sure.
metric, right? How many people
For
are
sure.
actually talking bad
Yeah.
about you, right?
Less
So
people
I
talking
think it
trash.
does impact it.
Quantity wise.
Yeah. Touching everybody, and by the way, that was a strategy that I've seen it played out a couple
Ethan
times.
does
but-
that strategy, doesn't he, Bob?
does.
It's pretty much
Yeah, he
Ethan's
does.
a touch the small ones first, and then
Yeah.
don't let the big ones fire me. But basically, he calculates out where he can do the most quantitative
Right.
good across the number of entities.
Yeah.
And he wins most of the time. So,
It makes sense.
yep, it was a good strategy. You're not wrong. Short story. TLDR, yes. Will.
It's definitely hard to track. Like, no, if I played this again, I would have a very different.
Yeah.
Everyone plays it again differently and has different things that come out of it. It's so fun to see people play again. Great BIA, business
And they do,
impact
quite a
analysis
bit, yeah.
aspect. Okay, so when you service medical clients, we're talking about back to this BAA. We really hit that pretty well earlier, I think. But what are your obligations? We've already tackled this one. Let's just scrap it. What do you want to talk about, Bob? Let's just use this 2 minutes. What do you want to talk
Well,
about? Should we beat this to
I think the
death?
thing, if anybody's listening, right? Because the BAA part, like, okay, what's the big deal about that? I mean, if you have clients that are medical, then they have a compliance requirement in some cases that they have to have a BAA with you.
Correct.
I would say the thing that we kind of talk about when we talk about this slide is that if that's a requirement, you're dealing with somebody or doing service for somebody, and they have that requirement, your MSA needs to be very specific about who they ask and how they ask,
What
so
you
that you're
will
not.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to get? You could get hung later if something goes bad with them. This is, well, no, I asked you guys to sign this BAA and email, so you're responsible.
Correct.
If you don't line it out exactly the method for them to submit the request for the BA, because it's their responsibility to get it. Just like HIPAA reporting, it's their responsibility to get it. So you define
away.
exactly how you want them to do it, then you're covered if they don't follow that process to get you to do it. So that's
Same reason
one of the big things.
Oh, good, Travis.
I was just going to say, we could take this time to talk about one thing that I think is being completely overlooked here. probably 80, 70, 60% of these clients have their own cyber insurance policy that their forensics teams are going to be nailing you guys. I mean, there's going to be conversations that are going to have to be had between insurance company and insurance company.
Yes. Yeah. I will tell
gonna
you
be
those
fun.
conversations happen, Travis, and then will you guys go? In my exact scenario, the way it worked out, I was Beasley back then, just so you know. But in our exact scenario, that was pretty much, they just kind of said, we're responsible for this and tackled it, and they didn't really bring in those other cyber insurances. But
good.
I could see where a few of them did go to their insurance, and then it became a subrogation conversation between the two of them and who's covering what.
Right.
It wasn't prevalent for us as a problem, but you're not wrong that can play out, and I'm glad we're going to tackle that. Will, go ahead.
No, I think you kind of hit the point I was getting at. Is, I mean, insurance companies are going to come in. They're not going to deny the claim. They're not, unless there's a gross misrepresentation or something.
Sure.
But they're going to come in. They're not going to deny the claim. They might pay it out, but then they're going to come after whoever's fault it was. They're going to do that whole subrogation game. So it's important to. Again, that's why we brought it up way earlier, but as an MSP, you're going to want to carry that tech errors and omissions coverage, and you need to carry the right amount. So that's for things like this. I always preface it with, we live in the world where everyone sues everyone for everything, and that includes your insurance company suing your insurance company, make their money back. So, and
also back to that best friend comment, and I'll continue this as we cut over, but back to that best friend. My best friend would never sue me. Nope, but their insurance will subrogate your rights, become you, and sue me. And so the problem is, and I don't mean this to make insurance in a negative light, I just mean that it is their job to deal with risk and to manage that, and it is their job to manage their own premiums and their premiums to their policyholders. Like, there is a definition of why, when we take on insurance, it makes all of us better, in my opinion. So, all right. And this is not a plug for FifthWall, it's a plug for the insurability of risk that we wish to transfer.
Exactly.
Okay, so just so...
All right, guys, it's day 14, which means we're wrapping up here.
Future transport needs some love.
Who do we want to close out to? Future transport?
They just need some love.
I'm going to give everyone a little bit of love.
Yeah, I'd say send love across the board.
Public administration.
With love. With love, your
Master
MSP.
approved the love sending across the board.
Public administration can be closed out. Public administration and global gas can probably be closed out, Will.
Hold on, I'm sending love with sending love.
Every
your
technician.
MSP.
I'm going into the field with national health care.
Okay. I have to say, there's not a whole lot of fireds on here. I mean, there's a few, but not as many. That may play out in your benefit.
It's a good roll.
It was a good roll. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't want another healthcare that we've been in business with the same amount of time to go down. So I'm just
I sent myself into the field for this one, guys. I'm showing up to help.
I'm here.
Where have you been this whole time? You've never showed up once.
I'd like to see some identification, please, sir.
Who are you? Who's this guy? Who's one of those cyber criminals I heard about? Breaking
I
SLAs,
was talking
hacking
about it on this
SLAs.
thing I was watching. Yeah.
You one of the criminals from the statistics?
How do y'all feeling so far, since we're pretty much towards the end of it and y'all have already deployed
This is
everything?
fantastic.
I'm digging
Anybody
it.
learned anything?
Yep.
We'll just get a little bit ahead of it. Anybody?
I want to hear.
anything?
I want to hear from Jaron and Oscar, because those are the newest guys, the freshest guys to our team.
Let's do it. 30 seconds. Hotspot, 15 each.
Yeah, I heard.
I learned a lot. You know, I was going to say, I didn't, well, first thing I want to know is that I'm never, if I have the power to, I'm never having Travis be our CEO, you know, because he just left in the middle of the call multiple times. But this is really informative from a side that we don't get to see intimately. Getting into the shoes of another person really helps me see and really helps me frame the product that we're trying to bring to help people. And that's what we're trying to do. Insurance is just supposed to restore what is lost, help people stay in business. Sometimes we can look like the bad guy and things like that. I completely understand that, but this helps us not look like the bad guy often.
That's awesome.
This helps.
Yeah, I love the shared experiences and stories that you guys are bringing. I mean, that's one of the quickest things or ways to learn, right? And experiences and, the good and the bad and everything in between. So I appreciate everybody's input there.
Yeah, very cool. Since we still have a question for Inject, and we'll finish up the rest of it here, I got ahead of myself. So what are some key things to do in an IR when we're talking about this, and why does root cause analysis matter so much, y'all? Anybody living in this field ought to be able to tackle this.
Starting to be able to see more double and triple ransom events and making sure that the main issue is snuffed out.
Yeah. And I don't think you mean double and triple extortion. I think you mean actually this is the second and third time they have now been ransomed, probably.
Yes, well. And that's correct. Yeah. Yes, and they've paid. That's right. And that, I mean, like we saw a report the other day, something like 40% get hit again, and then of that, a subset get hit a third time. Within
we were a threefer. We were a threefer as the service provider. The company we acquired, Voldemort, was a service provider, and they had been hit once in 2018 from an initial vulnerability, did not do incident response digging in, and found nothing that the threat actor had implanted a credential to use later. They then restored, they then used that credential, right, that they had, and they had done enough time that they restored back to when the credential was created, and they just kept coming back like a piggy bank for the next 2 times for 1,200 endpoints. And when you think about that impact across life and why there was so much anger and hatred, it is the beginning of my PTSD and what I live with. But that then turns into this. So my point is, if you don't do that root cause analysis, you probably never know that they created a credential and they have that access, right? Or potentially have created path. Yeah, go, Will.
I feel like root cause analysis also helps you see where potential weaknesses are. Sure. in your 100%. Place. So it's not just hey, how did this happen, but it's also how can I be better? We always like to say with insurance, I always push this this mindset of, if you have an incident, this isn't like an auto accident where you had an accident, we're not renewing your policy. This is oftentimes going to be, you had a cyber incident. What did you? I like to, like when you got in trouble in middle school and you had to write an essay. What did I learn from this incident? Tell me what you learned, little Johnny, in 4 paragraphs or less. But it's actually how have you repaired or upgraded 100%. Or fixed the glitch.
And that is a CIS control, right? Incident response in later parts of 17 says, do reviews after an incident. Figure out what happened. In fact, we used to move our incident response to quarterly to different offices so that the people that were doing the review was a different office looking at what happened from that office and how they handled things, right? And so you have to be able to do retrospectives, as Steven says in the, and I always carry Steven with me in my heart. I need to get a Steven bobblehead. But 100%, y'all. Good call.
Suffering from burnout. Everybody's working at half efficiency because you're.
Who gave them a day 15? This is crazy talk.
Insurance, baby.
Oh yeah.
Fair.
I'm also in the field for the next minute, so.
Same here. I thought we were ending on day 14, so I deployed myself.
Yeah, you guys.
I don't know who that was.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Bob has already told us once not to listen to Matt.
No, it's been more than once. It was 3 times
again.
Yeah,
that's okay. I deployed myself with a minute and a half remaining, so we're good. I know where everything's going.
3 times I said, when Matt says anything, think hard. I don't know how else to. What am I supposed to do, man?
I haven't believed.
Hey, get multi-factor authentication.
I said it might be a good time to stop.
I haven't believed anything Matt said this whole game, so.
Yet you're in the field.
No, that was strategic because I was like, if there's one more day, I'm going in at a minute 30. So.
No, I love it.
We're not losing. There we go. I'm back. Just keep hitting refresh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Travis can actually go somewhere. Hooray!
Yay!
Yep. I'm gonna
see Jaron. He didn't leave permanently.
See here, we're
almost
halfway restored on national health care.
He's got sweat stains under his armpits though from Innovative Financial. They wore him out.
Yeah,
I bet they get a 3. That's my gut. I might be wrong.
Think so?
I think so.
I'm back.
54. Let's throw some love towards national health care. I'm going to go back out in the field to national health care.
Go for it. There you go, Will. Will's pounding them down now.
How you doing, Andy?
Good, man. I'm back up.
What the heck?
Remember, they're half efficient.
Freak, you're right.
Yeah. Hey, so I'm going to tell you before this happens, because there's a bug in this whole framework. The first score you see is not going to be your real score. So just relax.
So you said, Matt,
go down from there.
You think we'll get a 3? What's the scoring scale?
We'll talk about that. Yeah, when we get it. Yeah.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 3.
It's a 1 to 5, but I do think you'll be in the 3, which is not very often. People are usually 1 to 2.
It's 1 to 10. It's 1 to 10.
I thought it's only 1 to 5.
No, it's 1 to 10.
Oh, then I would actually say a 6. I'm sorry.
That's what I was going to tell you. Remember when Ethan scored a 6? So that blows your rule up right out of there.
Yeah, my bad.
Well, Ethan's just capable of blowing up 5s. He's like, a 5 is too low.
He can blow up anything.
I just have never seen more than a 5, Bob. I guess that's where we're at, man.
Oh, yeah. I was just reminded by Josh Bain. He said, just because Matt's never scored above a 5 doesn't mean that's the actual
nice,
ceiling.
Josh Bain. That's not very nice. That don't make my heart feel good. That don't make my heart feel good. All right, let's continue the what did you learn today. I'm going to tackle this. Andy, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just give me 20, 30 seconds of what you learned today.
All it's going to do is just, I've been on a soapbox for about 6 months with MSPs about hammering their clients with insurance and IR planning, right?
Yeah.
And you can't talk about insurance over here and IR planning over here. They got to be tied at the hip, right? So all this did was just drive that deeper. And when we're advising folks on their clients' insurability and their E&O, that we make sure that even though insurance as an industry doesn't really reward it financially right now.
Yeah.
But we push more into that moving forward.
I'll real quick just to add to that, Andy, for you. If the 3 pieces right of boom are detect, respond, recover, and if they are significantly more people and process driven than technical driven, then one would imagine the more work we've done to have our processes and people aligned to what's going to happen will mean reduced cost, faster uptime, and back to business. That's my belief. So yes.
That's right. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The left of boom stuff is how do we limit losses from happening from a risk management, from an insurance financial standpoint, how do we limit losses from happening? But what I feel like we're devaluing right now is when those losses do happen, how do we reduce the impact of them? How do we keep them from being
blast radius reduction?
A $2 million claim be a $200,000 claim? Insurance still wins there.
Yeah, I'm going to speak kind of what I'm learning from. Honestly, dude, we're a bunch of insurance guys. We're vendors in the space, and it was really cool to see how because we talk about it a lot, but it was cool to kind of feel a little piece of the stress and the frustration and the chaos that is an incident for MSPs, because it kind of connects you on that heart level a little bit. One of the things at FifthWall we really stress is we want to be able to speak MSP, and I think this takes us a layer deeper. We can kind of see how it all plays out.
When they talk about how bad it sucks, we can say, look, I understand, not directly, but I have played Bob Miller's game.
I played Bob's game once.
Yeah, Bob Miller's game really taught me that, we got you, no worries. I actually had a girl tell me that her Aura Ring said this is more stressful than when they have a hurricane, and she's in the hurricane management.
Yeah, she sent us screenshots.
County. Yeah, so it's horrible. So the point is, actually, just you nailed it right there, Will. When I invented the cadence and the methodology of this game with Ethan, what we were trying for was a hearts and minds game, not education. It was to make you feel it so that you would make action, right? How does a good coach get you moving? Before we leave that locker room, we're slapping the top of the thing and we got some heart in it, right? That's what this is for, is heart and minds. 100%. Yeah, believe. Exactly. All right, what else? Next, Travis, go.
Really, the big thing that I took away from this is no matter what there's always more to learn, right?
Always, brother.
I've been through a lot of these in real life. I've been through a lot of tabletops.
It shows.
And I was learning every step of the way. 9 out of 10, not ours.
No, told you. Just wait a minute. There you go. Hey, that's good though.
Yeah,
that's very really respectable.
Good. Yeah, that's the highest I've seen in a long time. And I had a suspicion. So I was saying 6 out of 10, but it was a 5 out of 10 in this case. But yeah, to continue that point, Travis.
Let's run it back. And we got to get this 6 out of 10.
Oscar's ready to do it again.
Water break.
You're in the right business, Oscar. You're good.
Canceling my afternoon calls. We can do better than 5. Let's go.
Wait, you said the first score isn't our final score.
He refreshed
it.
No,
this is your final one now.
This is the final one. Yeah, Wilson, I haven't heard from you, I don't think yet, sir. Anything you learned or take away from this in any of the conversation or the game itself?
Yeah, Matt, I primarily work on the client end, and I have 2 client meetings this afternoon with terrible insurance policies, which I get to explain every day, but bringing in aspects of this and thoughts on this, almost to press MSPs, because MSPs and account managers are on the calls with me.
Yeah.
Throwing them bones to talk about what they would go through if something were to happen and they have a bad insurance policy. It's just great knowledge that I've gained today.
Here's what's cool about that. Here's what's cool about that. And I do this from the stage all the time. I go speak to end clients on stage for their MSPs, right, in those kind of conferences they're doing. And I get to go up and say, you know what your MSP is going to have to deal with? They don't want to have to fire you because you won't make the right decisions. They don't have to explain to you something you don't want to learn. Like, what's great about that is after I walk off the stage, if the client comes up to that MSP and says, that Matt guy was onto something, bro. This really moved my heart, and I'm going to move forward on this. Great. And if he comes up and goes, that Matt guy's an idiot, they can go, yeah, I hate that guy anyway. You're right. So it gives you third-party reference where you get to be that object of bringing that knowledge for them and speak to something that they wouldn't necessarily want to speak with their client. So, dude, 100% Wilson nailed it. Yeah. Bob,
what about Oscar? He was supposed to answer before, but we ran out of time.
Oh, don't let him off the hook. He started. You're right. But Bob, you have the con. I'm gonna hush up now, so you got it.
All right. Yeah. Well, look. So, it's always great, right? Playing these games, especially with you guys, because I knew you were going to bring a whole different angle to the perspective of this, and being a partner, or Global Data Systems is a partner with FifthWall, right? So, I wanted to be able to showcase that the combination of an MSP, MSSP with the FifthWall guys as partners, you can see now, right? It gives you a whole lot better vision across the board, right? A much more holistic view of how to work these things. And this game is really designed to help people understand just what you guys pointed out. The reason some of these leaders of these companies don't engage is because they have no idea what's really involved in being in an incident and what it's like, right? So the more people we can get to go through this, especially the decision makers, because you can see it's not a technical exercise, but it damn sure puts the screws to you and makes you think about things that you don't want to think about or are unwilling to or unable to think about up front, right? So, so I'm glad that this is the last. I'm going to go ahead and say it on this live stream. This is the last official use of the 1.0 framework. So we got a whole new framework, that we're going to be using at the end of the month, and it will torch you in new and exciting ways. So we're looking forward to getting that up and running. And we're going to have business email compromise and cloud compromise are going to be two of the first scenarios we're going to be adding to the list, including this ransomware. So, but I mean it when I say I would love to be able to do something with you guys quarterly where we take a different attack vector and we go through it again and kind of, get more insight. And
I'll even come and yell and bring high stress and high speed of words to the mix. That's all I got. That's the only thing I got.
I want you to do the helium voice the whole time next time.
I know.
I will commit to that right now.
So, but this is, we do this free at the end of every month, right? So people can sign up. If you guys hit people and, it's free at the end of every month. We're going to do a game. We're already scheduled out through the end of the year. So I'm just glad you guys were here. It's a blast. And, I look forward to doing it again with you because it was, I think everybody's going to get it's a different perspective. And I think it added a lot of value to it. So this is, it's important to us. We know that we want to do this long-term. And I'm just really happy that you guys took the time to join us. So, man, I thank you so much. And of course, to all of the IR game crew, Matt.
If I had to award a gold star, it would be to Travis. And I will just say that the evidence of the experience shows through pretty much. And I just ask anybody, I don't give away these free nice things this much. But I will say, Travis, I was quite impressed by your answers. Jaron, you'd come in a close second, actually. And the answers you did choose to get in on were succinct and exactly opposite of Matt Lee. So winning. It's awesome, brother.
So everybody out there watching, look, man, thanks very much for doing this. Again, this is FifthWall Solutions. If you got issues on cyber insurance or curiosity, about getting more information about them, please feel free to contact FifthWall Solutions, Will Brooks, or any of these guys here, Wilson Henry or Andy. They're easy to find on LinkedIn because Will's the meme master, so you'll always spot something he's up to, periodically during the week. So, and everybody else involved in the IR game crew, universe, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.
This was awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.